The main thing I remember about that particular weekend, of course, is the fire engine. We got to the Bressingham area somehow, and in the courtyard of a pub, I think it was,
Yes.
there was a fire engine, and we all mounted this fire engine. There was Bill Pertwee, myself, and Pamela Cundell. And Pamela Cundell decided, or somebody decided for her, that it would be rather good if she wore the fireman's helmet, which was rather good actually, because she looked like Britannia or something. But I know she had a great deal of struggle putting it on. They're very heavy. And then we drove into the grounds, and I was ringing the bell, because somebody said, why don't you ring the bell? And Bill Pertwee kept saying, stop making all that noise, Frank, and all that. But it was great fun, and yes, it was a really good introduction to Bressingham.
We'll take it off.
I feel like a schoolgirl.
We'll take it off before you, we'll take it off before you climb in the thing.
Oh, darling.
Right. I'll knock your hat off, you know.
The year 2000, that was a great event. We started, I think, by having a reception at the council offices in Thetford and met the mayor and so on, and then we all did a procession around the town with various vehicles. I think we had Jones's van and things, and once again we were on the fire engine, and I was enjoying ringing the bell. Pamela was looking like Britannia, and we went right the way around the town, and we ended up in the market square, and to our amazement it was absolutely packed. I think we had heard afterwards there were about 2,000 people there, and they were ranged all the way round the square, and the idea was that they'd come to us and ask for autographs, but once we got there saw how many there were, we thought, well, that's never going to work. So they kept where they were, and we did a walkabout rather like royalty, you know. And it was an extraordinary occasion. And the other thing about that was it was apparently the anniversary, 60th anniversary, of the forming of the Home Guard. So it had a special significance. I think we went over to Bressingham and we opened the museum, and I think Clive Dunn was there. Jimmy and David, I think, cut the ribbon to open because that's what you do when you open museums and things. And so that was the birth of the Bressingham Museum to Dad's Army, and it was a great occasion.
Ladies and gentlemen, I say without further delay, it gives me very great pleasure. It used to give me very great pleasure to declare this bazaar open.
Of course, 2010, the event, was a very important one. One of the things I remember about that was that it didn't actually start with what we called croft weather, because I think it rained a bit, but not too terrible, and it certainly didn't dampen our enthusiasm. And it was the occasion when we unveiled the statue of Captain Mannering, which is set there in Thetford, near where the old Anchor Hotel used to be. And that's very appropriate in a way, because the Anchor was used, as well as the Bell, for a lot of the people who stayed there. And we remember, I certainly remember, having very pleasant meals at the Anchor sometimes. And the statue was unveiled, and I seem to remember going down to the statue and sitting next to Arthur, as it were, and Jimmy Perry on the other side. So that was a great occasion, yes. And then, of course, there was the occasion when we had a get-together at Amersham, which I think started with a tour of the film locations, and then we had a meal, and Jimmy Perry was due to join us later, and it turned out very much later because we were all waiting for him, but eventually he turned up, and when he did, he revealed the idea that there was going to be another Dad's Army film, which I think was certainly news to me and probably to other people. I think we were told that the main character was going to be a woman, and so I think some of us were thinking, is it going to be Mrs. Mannering running the platoon? But it was left really very vague. My memories of doing the film are very strange in some way, because I went to see the Oliver Parker, who was directing the film, and I said, well, what am I going to play? And he said, well, I think you could play the vicar. I remember saying to him, won't they think the vicar's aged a great deal after 40 years, because I'm about 40 years older now? And he said, no, they won't know the difference. No, perhaps they didn't.
Morning, Vicar. Telephone for you. And the Morris dancers have booked the hall for 1 o'clock. I do hope you're not going to run over.
There is a war on, you know, Vicar. If we're not finished, they'll just have to prance about outside.
But when we were filming it, I had also been committed to go on a cruise and do my chat show with Chris Gidney, and I said, well, you know, I'm not going to be available between these dates. And he said, that's all right, we can work around that. Anyway, I did some filming, and of course, Toby Jones, who played Mannering, I'd worked in A Midsummer Night's Dream with him some years previously at the Almeida Theatre. But anyway, I went off on this cruise, having done some scenes, but there was still one to do, and I suddenly, we were in Russia of all places. We were in Russia, and Ronnie had the mobile phone. He said, "There's a call for you," and so I took the call, and it was the company manager saying, "Now we'd like you on the set for the film. Tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock we'll send a car for you." And I said, "I'm in Russia." And he said, "Oh." And obviously the thing hadn't... So in fact that scene was cut. And I think Mrs. Mannering was just talking on the telephone to me. The other thing I remember about that, and I don't think it actually came into the final cut of the film, there was a scene where Mannering was having a nightmare. I think it was Mannering having a nightmare, someone was having a nightmare, and they were dreaming about Britain being taken over. And I remember standing as the vicar in the middle of wherever it was we filmed it, and I've forgotten now, but somewhere up north.
Bridlington.
Bridlington, that's right, very cold. Only a film company could think of doing a thing with a lot of old people, a lot of location in the height of winter. But anyway, the thing I remember was that we did this dream sequence, which including me standing in the middle of the square in Bridlington and doing a Heil Hitler to everyone. But as I say, that was cut from the film. But it was fun, that film. I enjoyed it. And then, of course, there was a marvellous occasion when we were up in Thetford and we all went round visiting the locations where we'd done the filming, which certainly brought back some wonderful memories to me. One of the things I remember is going into one of the churches there, and I think they said they used that church once a year to keep it going. They always had a carol service there. Yes. And I seem to remember two young people saying to me, they weren't that young by then, saying we got married in this church. And of course the the army had taken over this vast area, 3 villages, and they kept the churches, at least in good order, and so it's really quite moving to be there. But yes, it was great revisiting some of those locations and seeing them again, and thinking I could run about in those days, because by then I could still run about quite a bit, so I was still okay. The great thing was that we had Harold Sloan, who had found all the locations, and so he would not only know where they were, but what they were. And interestingly, I once had a letter from somebody who said, not the usual fan letter, I wonder if you could tell me where the water tower was, which was used in Battle of the Giants, because my husband is writing a treatise on water towers in England, and I looked it up. Perhaps it was in your book or Richard's book or someone's book, and I was able to tell them exactly where it was, what it was, and again brought back a lot of memories. And we did visit it that time, yeah. I have got an upcoming event actually. I'm going to be doing my chat show with Chris Gidney at the Leicester Square Theatre in October the 10th, I think, in the afternoon. And I'm assured that mobility won't be a problem, because they'll make sure I don't have to cope with stairs, and they'll get me onto the stage somehow. If they have to wheel me on in a wheelchair, they'll do that. But so hopefully I'm going to be able to do that and get there without any problems. And we're hoping to have a number of other people there, including Michael Knowles and Linda, Geoffrey Holland and Judy, and Sue Hodge and Paddy, and Sue Pollard possibly. So all obviously due to, if they can make it. So hoping that's going to be a good occasion, and it'd be lovely to see some people there.